The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. A good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. I am not a saint, unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying. I detest racialism because I regard it as a barbaric thing, whether it comes from a black man or a white man. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. A nation should not be judged by how it treats its highest citizens but its lowest ones. We must use time wisely and forever realize that the time is always ripe to do right. Do not judge me by my successes, judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. To deny people their human rights is to challenge their very humanity. As I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison. When a man has done what he considers to be his duty to his people and his country, he can rest in peace. I am fundamentally an optimist. Whether that comes from nature or nurture, I cannot say. Part of being optimistic is keeping one's head pointed toward the sun, one's feet moving forward. It always seems impossible until it's done. I stand here before you not as a prophet but as a humble servant of you, the people. Poverty is not an accident. Like slavery and apartheid, it is man-made and can be removed by the actions of human beings. Freedom cannot be achieved unless the women have been emancipated from all forms of oppression. Real leaders must be ready to sacrifice all for the freedom of their people. I dream of an Africa which is in peace with itself. In my country, we go to prison first and then become president. I was made, by the law, a criminal, not because of what I had done, but because of what I stood for. I am not an optimist, but a great believer of hope. Courageous people do not fear forgiving, for the sake of peace. Do not let your self-respect make you unduly sensitive to insult. We can change the world and make it a better place. It is in your hands to make a difference. The time for the healing of the wounds has come. There is no passion to be found playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. A good leader can engage in a debate frankly and thoroughly, knowing that at the end, he and the other side must be closer and thus emerge stronger. We must strive to be moved by a generosity of spirit that will enable us to outgrow the hatred and conflicts of the past. We can't afford to be killing one another. Freedom is indivisible. The chains on any one of my people were the chains on all of them. The chains on all of my people were the chains on me. I like friends who have independent minds because they tend to make you see problems from all angles. In the end, reconciliation is a spiritual process, which requires more than just a legal framework. When people are determined, they can overcome anything. We know too well that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians. I stand here before you not as a prophet, but as a humble servant of you, the people. It is not where you start but how high you aim that matters for success. There is nothing like returning to a place that remains unchanged to find the ways in which you yourself have altered. Sometimes, it falls upon a generation to be great. You can be that great generation. Let your greatness blossom. The habit of attending to small things and of appreciating small courtesies is one of the important marks of a good person. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. To be free is not merely to cast off one's chains but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. I was not a messiah, but an ordinary man who had become a leader because of extraordinary circumstances. It is what we make out of what we have, not what we are given, that separates one person from another. Lead from the back, and let others believe they are in front. Let freedom reign. The sun never set on so glorious a human achievement. There is no easy walk to freedom anywhere, and many of us will have to pass through the valley of the shadow of death again and again before we reach the mountaintop of our desires. To be the father of a nation is a great honor, but to be the father of a family is a greater joy. Money won't create success, the freedom to make it will. There is nothing I fear more than waking up without a program that will help me bring a little happiness to those with no resources, those who are poor, illiterate, and ridden with terminal disease. No single person can liberate a country. You can only liberate a country if you act as a collective. A winner is a dreamer who never gives up. I was called a terrorist yesterday, but when I came out of jail, many people embraced me, including my enemies, and that is what I normally tell other people who say those who are struggling for liberation in their country are terrorists. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart.